This pains me in my heart because I'm about to sound like a hypocrite. I said in a previous video that I normally don't ask you guys to watch to the end, but there was something really important I had to ask you in that one. Actually, that was Children of the Vault number 4. So here I am again asking you to watch to the end, because the way that this ends right here, oh, you're gonna love it. I loved it, and I feel like you're gonna love it too. My name is Dorian, this is SCN Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Fall of X, and we are concluding our coverage of X-Men Red with number 18. So the story starts off where the last one left off. We have Storm, who has her magical powers unlocked by Apocalypse, and she went ahead and raised the island. It looks like Krakoa, but she's calling it Karak, but it looks like Krakoa. And she pretty much goes to Genesis and is like, look, Heffa, we need to end this. So go ahead and raise your island and let's knuckle up. And you know Genesis is about that life. You ain't said nothing but a word. I mean, she still got the earrings on, but she went ahead and put on some Vaseline, and she's pretty much tell Arakko to rise. And we also see that John Ironfire has been putting in work. I mean, when we last left him, he was on like 95. Now he's on 9, 8, 7. So he's taking them all out. So Genesis raises up Arakko, and like I said before, she about that life. So she lands the first punch. So of course Storm gets her lick back, because you know she was. But the people that are on Storm's island starting to get worried. Like Apocalypse familiar, it's like, you know, you might maybe want to go talk to your wife, Apocalypse. And the Sunfire is like, well, at least we could do is help her. Apocalypse is like, nah, our place is right here. So even though the two islands are fighting, the two commanders can too. Storm flies over to Genesis and is like, hey, let's do this. And Genesis starts talking all kinds of she's like Queen of Commodores, the grave of Arakko, a grave disappointment. And then she ends it by saying, and a waste of my time, as she starts choking Storm out with her vine. So Storm's being choked out, but then she says frost and freezes the vine. Then she breaks out and says pressure. And then she says it's my turn. And Genesis, just damn near the queen of talk, goes, oh, I didn't know we was taking turns. Like, this is a game. Okay, make your move. I await your best. And then the Annihilation staff whispers, miss. So Storm brings down this huge lightning bolt, and it hits the sword, and it hits Genesis. Now Genesis is an Omega level mutant, so she could take it, but the blue sword goes flying out of her hands, and Genesis is like, no. And it's going back to his owner, and we know who that is. And by the way, through all that, the Annihilation staff is just fine. So now we switch back to John Ironfire, and he says 1. So he's killed all 99 soldiers with just Blue left. And he's like, one last chance, Blue. If I gotta beg, I'll beg. Genesis' only cause is her empty glory. You're worth more than that. Stand down, please. Blue holds up his hand. The blue sword comes back, and he goes, no, Genesis is right. But John Ironfire is like, okay, to the death. Now, just because Storm and Genesis are going at it doesn't mean everybody else stop fighting. You got both sides still going at it. You have Sarada, that's that big eyeball. She is an Omega level mutant, and she's on Genesis' side. Her power is she can pretty much erase your existence by looking at you. There's stipulations to that, but none of those really apply in this war. And she wants to erase everybody on Storm's side, starting with Sunspot. That was a bad person to pick, because he just starts powering up, and with Core the Burning Heart pretty much holding his shoulder, she's amplifying his power like exponentially. And he goes, Sarada, did anybody tell you don't stare into the sun? And he just burns bright. And even though she is a Omega level mutant, she's still an eyeball and burns her retina. So now she is blind and she can't use her power. So now Blue has his sword back, and he's attacking John Ironfire, and he's like, this sword can cut through anything, lies, and it'll make you see the light by cutting your head off. Very morbid. So John catches it, and he goes, the edge cuts, the rest you can hold. He has a metal bone come out of his knee, and he stabs the hell out of Blue right in the stomach. He catches the sword and proceeds to cut Blue in half. So John can barely look at Blue, but Blue is still alive, and he goes, hey, I want to heal from this. That's what I do. I heal. And John's like, yeah, you'll heal, even from a heart that's cut in two. But what if I take the sword and I put it in your heart and I hold it there, and I make sure I hold it until it's over. So you turn the page and the war is raging on. You got Sarada, who is blind as a bat now, and all she can do is listen to what's going on. She hears Weaponless Zen say something. She's trying to reason with her. The forces of Storm is pretty much starting to turn the tide, and they're starting to win, and they're taking people out. Well, all of a sudden, you got the Fisher King. He comes out of nowhere, surprises Sarada. Well, anything will surprise Sarada right now. And he's like, once I had no weapon, and now I do. Now, he morphed with Xylo. I think that's how you pronounced it. And it made him a lot more powerful, but it was good and bad, because as he's reaching out to Sarada, you see his arm. His arm is a skeleton. So once Xylo combines with Sarada, Fisher King is done. Actually, you think about it, if he leaves Sarada, she's gonna be done too. But Weaponless Zen sees it, she goes, father. So when we turn the page, now we're back to the main fight between Storm and Genesis. And throughout it all, Storm is still trying to reason with Genesis, talking about, you see what your war is doing? The two islands are destroying each other. And Genesis is like, you claim to be an Omega level mutant. This means you have no limits, but you have limits. You see, me, I am the true life bringer, and life is war, constant war. She does some kind of spell and it brings down Storm. So while Storm is down, Genesis is talking big to her, you know, life, survival, so on and so forth. It's not really important. Important thing is that all of a sudden Annihilation starts talking to Storm. So pretty much Annihilation is ready to jump ship. And she wants to leave Genesis because she feels like she's gone as far as Genesis can take her, and she feels like Storm can take her further, and she's just trying to convince Storm to take the staff and so on and so forth. And Storm is like, but I haven't heard the word that you should be uttering. And Annihilation is like, what is that? She just smiles and goes, miss. And Storm rains down a huge lightning bolt, pretty much hits Genesis. Now, Genesis can take it, even though that is a lot she is taking, but the Annihilation staff done melted and is no more. And then Latuka's scared, who is all-knowing. Another reason why nobody f***s with her. So Annihilation is removed, Genesis is fallen, debate is decided, let all know. So on the next page, we see John Fire just kind of sitting there. We see the Lycan 2 wolves. He got Lotus logos and a chokehold, and he's about to, I guess, deal a death blow to him when he gets eradicated by Sarada, that is now consumed by Xylo. So now you know she's dead, because we see on the next page what happens when Xylo takes you over, because the Fisher King, pretty much his body is half consumed and pretty much is a skeleton, and Xylo was the only thing keeping him alive. You got Sunspot standing over him talking about that should have been him. He should have been in his place. And Sizia comes over and is like, when he was in prison, him and his wife did something. He felt like he should be the one who died. She died in his place. He was just making sure that this time it wasn't going to happen that way. So then we cut to John Fire, who said he was going to take out Blue and take him out permanently, but as you can see, he let him heal. Now that Annihilation is gone, Blue's back in his right mind, and now the two friends are reunited. We also see that the islands are done fighting each other, and now they're reunited. So it's whatever, brother, sister, sister and brother, him and her, them and they, whatever nouns or pronouns you want to put in front of it. So then we see Storm and Apocalypse, and they're talking about what just happened. And Apocalypse said, you know, one day I'll be back with Genesis. And Storm's like, I wonder what Genesis is doing. And on the next page, we find out exactly what she's doing. And this is why I said I want you to stay to the end. We see Genesis and her kids take down Orcus. Because don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. She had issues with Storm and the mutants on Arakko and all that other jazz. But she is still a mutant. That means she is an enemy to Orcus, and she will take them out with
great vengeance and furious anger
when she is done with the humans.
You will know my name is
Genesis.